Winter wheat is typically a competitive crop with a lot of weeds, especially with summer annual weeds. However, as we approach wheat harvest, it's important to think about how we're going to manage weeds after we remove that crop canopy. One of the things that can happen is that weeds like this pigweed, once the canopy is removed, are going to have a lot more resources and they're going to grow very rapidly. As these weeds are growing, they're going to be using the water in particular that we're going to need for subsequent crops. So having a plan now for your post-harvest weed management is important. We know that making a herbicide application to a field that is not going to directly impact crop yield and revenue can be a difficult decision to make. However, that expense is still going to pay dividends in the long run, because if you don't control those weeds now, you will be controlling them in the future. So that cost is going to be worthwhile. Including that residual herbicide can reduce the costs for weed management after wheat harvest, especially as we think about high fuel prices. Historically, some of the key products for weed management after wheat harvest have included things like glyphosate and 2,4-D. Unfortunately, in particular, glyphosate is not working as well as it used to because of widespread herbicide resistance in many of our key weed species. In many cases, move to other products, things like paraquat, containing herbicides that require good spray coverage. Things to think about as we approach the time for post-harvest weed management would be making sure that we're spraying weeds as small as possible to get good control. There is research that says that we will get better control of things like Palmer amaranth and kochia when we apply herbicides to smaller weeds. The problem with targeting smaller weeds is that there will be additional flushes of weed growth throughout the summer. So one of the things to think about in order to reduce the number of herbicide applications and the number of trips across the field throughout the summer, it's important to think about including a residual herbicide in these post-harvest applications. So there are a couple of advantages to this. One, if you do choose to use paraquat for your post-harvest herbicide application, including a group 5 herbicide like atrazine can help to synergize that paraquat and increase weed control. So we've talked about a few considerations for weed management after wheat harvest. So just some key takeaways to remember: target weeds as small as possible, get good spray coverage, and include a residual herbicide. And we'll wish you much success with wheat harvest and crops in the future.